Hi, hello, welcome back to another Draw and Talk with me. My name is Kenya. I am a 23-year-old person who enjoys doing art. And Draw and Talk with me is a thing I like to do where I talk about art, my issues or struggles with art, while doing art. Today I wanted to try drawing something sort of different, but not really. It's more eyes, yes, but it's a kind of different form of eyes. I really wanted to try to fill up this little negative space. Not even little, it's huge. It's a big piece of negative space on this page in my sketchbook. So I thought, let me try to fill it with as many eyes as I can. And then the idea kind of shifted and changed into this ball um amalgamation creature thing of just eyes. So this is just me getting my colors together. All I could think about is that I wanted it to at least be purple, have some sort of purple base. So that's me getting all these, purple colors together. So that's a little bit about where it started. So today, topic wise, I wanted to kind of get into a longer subject or something I can talk about for a bit longer, which has been bothering me for a while in this whole discovering my art style process that I've been going through, which is the art that I would like to make versus the art that I like versus the art that I can make. So let me just explain that real quick. I feel like as an artist, um, it is very hard and discouraging to see all this art, this cool looking art from all these artists that you adore, look up to, like seeing art from, what have you. And, constantly being reminded that you, at least at that moment, you can't really make art that is as impactful as the art that you enjoy looking at. It could be different for, different people. Maybe some artists don't really have that issue, but I'm a person who gets very discouraged very easily whenever I'm, observing someone who is very good at this thing that I enjoy doing. It's not that I necessarily think that I'm bad or that I don't have what it takes to make that sort of art or, do whatever it is that well, but, you know, I get some sort of like envy from like their ability to, I don't know, execute it as well as they do. And it goes for anything, but since we're talking about art here, I'll just specifically talk about art. Um, I could go on about the different artists that I like. Um, there's tons of them on tons of different platforms. Um, some do like strictly digital. There are some that do traditional painting and whatnot. Um, but specifically, I'm going to talk about traditional art because that's where I'm the most comfortable. Because I can't really complain about how digital artists are very good when I don't even take the time to practice digital art, so it would just be very redundant. So I'm just gonna leave that over there. So while coming up with this topic, I wanted to make sure I know where I'm going with this because I could talk about it all day, but the main goal or the main like end goal, I guess, for this series or at least for this specific video, because every video is different, I want there to be some sort of lesson or something that I take from talking about this thing. Maybe, how to think about it differently or how to fix it, whatever it is for me. Because, like I said before, I'm not trying to teach anything, because my experience with consuming and, creating anything is very different from how the general mass does the same thing. So I mean, if this does help you and you find that you do think a similar way than I do, like as I do, then that's great. I hope that it works for you too. So for this topic, what I wanted to take away from this is, first of all, that they don't all mean the same thing. What I can do, like the ability that I do have, at least in this very moment, because there's always room for improvement. I can always learn different things. What I can do versus what it is that I like to see in art versus what it is that I want to make goes without saying, but I do have to reiterate this for myself, that they're not all the same thing at all. Because what I can do now is of course different from what I have the potential to do, but obviously can't. And the art that I like to see and that I would like to make, or at least have my art replicate in a way, not like one-to-one, but be in the same wheelhouse as, style wise, they're not all the same. And during this whole finding my art style journey so far, I've come to realize that a lot of the styles that I like, they don't resonate with the art that I want to make, which is really weird to figure out, because you'd think that art that I enjoy looking at, would be art that I would want to be inspired by and sit down and actually try to make myself, but that's not always like that. An example of this is, for example, the type of art style that's very bright, bubbly, almost hyper pop-esque. It usually has like a lot of pinks and yellows. Or it could be like very rounded, like I said, bubbly, cute, inspired. Love seeing it, can't stand drawing it. I can't. I don't know. I don't want this to sound harsh or anything. It's not a bad art style. It's a really, like I said, it's really nice to look at. I like it whenever it's done in a way that I can enjoy. I just don't crave drawing it, which is fine. But it also makes me think about how I could be filling that space with art that I do want to see, that does inspire me to draw, which leads me into the next main point of this, which is what I would like to take out of this lesson wise. So if this is me from the future watching this, for whatever reason, listen up, because this is where the learning comes in. I've kind of made up a little bit of an equation here. Not really. I'm dyscalculic. I'm not good at math. Don't listen to that. So what I've kind of boiled this down to is that the art that I like could simply just be used as inspiration. I know this is sort of a duh take, but I have to try to remember that when consuming art. I'm kind of getting in that rhythm now. Whenever I go to look at art content, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, viewing it in real life, whenever I see murals or graffiti tags, just posters, graphic design on signs and stuff, I always try to take it in as inspiration and try to conceal whatever it is that I like from that. and, try to make sure I utilize whatever it is that I like to kind of help me get into some sort of like groove. Because that's all that is simply inspiration. If I like it, if it rings some bells, if it dilates the pupils real good, it's useful. Like, it's never wasted. So that's the inspo. Now, the art that I can make currently, that can be the art that I want to make, but all I can do is improve on what it is that I can do now. Like the art that I can make now and the art that I want to make, it's like how energy can't really be created or destroyed, it can only be transferred. It's sort of like that. Like, I'm thinking about my art ability as this line that can't really be like chopped up or detached or messed up or anything. Like, I do go through gray periods where I have really bad art block, or I'm just completely, I don't want to say doubting my abilities, but I don't know what to do with them, so I just don't do anything, or I'm not fixated on art enough to create anything. I go through those pits all the time. But with that, like, the things that I like, the things that I enjoy, that changes too, and that simply influences whatever it is I can do. It's very weird. I don't know if anybody else goes through that. If you do, it would be very nice if you can tell me and how your experience with that is, because I don't know, I feel like I'm one of the only people on the planet that goes through that. It's weird. I'm actually very influenced by a lot of different things. I went over this in my introduction video, I believe, so I'm not going to go too deep into that, but a very short TLDR is, whether I'm into a certain genre of music or artist, a show, drama, manga, anime, movies, genres, like, different things affect what it is that I have the urge to create. So it's not like, my art process isn't linear at all. It's not point A, point B. I mean, it is, but there are many stops along the way. So that's how I'm viewing my art journey. So just to pop in and check on the me that's drawing this, whatever this is. I don't know if I would have been in the mood or the right headspace to draw this well. I mean, I'm not saying it's, it's beautiful or great. I mean, I like it, but it could have looked a lot less satisfying to me if I was listening to something different, because I listen to music while I draw. If I was listening to a different artist, a different playlist, if I had watched something different the night before, like, anything can influence the quality of the art that I make, like the art in general, but the quality, because I can attempt to draw anything, but if I'm not in the mood to draw that thing at all, like, if that's not what I'm fixated on, it's not gonna come out to be satisfactory, at least not to me. So that's why I was talking before in my last video where I was discussing things like fan art and drawing in the likeness of certain fandoms, whether it's like K-pop fan art, which is what I personally enjoy doing from time to time when I'm in the mood for it, anime fan art, celebrity fan art, whatever. I only draw those things when I'm fixated on those things. It's all I can see, hear, all I can think about. So, I disperse that energy onto the paper, because that's what I want to see on the paper. And, if I'm told or asked to draw anything that isn't, what I'm into at the time, it's very hard to get something that I'm at least proud of, something that I can look at and be satisfied with it being mine. And a little bit of a side tangent. I want this to be its own topic. If I find a good way for it to fit. Well, maybe it could be here. I don't know. But that's partially why I have a hard time with things like commissions. I've never really been commissioned by anybody outside of people that I know in real life, like friends and family. But to put it simply, I have a hard time with the concept of commissions because I don't like drawing things that I don't like. And if you're like me, that means that if somebody asks you to draw something that either you don't really know much about or you don't really care for, you're not gonna be in the mood to draw that thing. Anyways, I could give a story time, but I don't want to drag that out because I'm simply gonna forget what it is, where it is I'm going with all of this. But yeah, just to bring it back to like the drawing itself, not saying I'm into eyes or anything, or I'm watching anything that's like that grotesque where I feel the need to like draw this, but I've been trying to play with the idea of doing like gothic, almost body horror-esque type art. I mean, I do like those things like in art. I've mentioned before that I'm a big fan of Junji Ito's art. I like a lot of artists on Instagram that do dark types of art as like a genre. I like the look of body horror like type art like this that isn't exactly gory or bloody in a way. I think it's interesting to see like how to fit different shapes and stuff together. So this is kind of why this idea kind of popped up first, like amongst others. And the eyes comes from the fact that eyes is just simply one of the only things I can ever draw whenever I don't have anything else to draw. I noticed that I feel like a common issue that artists have is, we have a hard time finding something to draw whenever we're in an artistic mood. It's like that reverse art block thing. It's when you feel like super creative in the moment and you're just like, I finally want to sit down and draw something, but you have nothing to draw. It's very annoying. I hate it personally. But I have eyes. I mean, well, a lot of us do, but the subject that I like drawing whenever I'm in those little ruts is eyes, because you can do a lot with them. I talked about this in another video that I just recently uploaded. But yeah, you can really do a lot with them. Different, all of the different elements open up different possibilities. Different colors, different schemes, like doing one eye, two eyes. How many are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12? Hang on, let me recount that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 12 eyes. It's interesting whenever you're given different circumstances, like what can come out of it. If you were to give like a whole bunch of different people, these specific colors, like blue and purple markers, colored pencils, paint, whatever, and and you told them, draw a ball of eyes, general concept, but they would all come out with different looking things, and I won't be able to shut up about this. I think that is so cool, but anyway, back on track with the topic. The only thing I don't think I'll be able to have an answer for, at least, to myself, from myself, is how to reach the art that I want to make, because as I'm currently recording this, I don't I don't know how to do that. I mean, other than maybe, I guess, practicing, that's the easy answer, but I have to give myself some sort of cheat code to even get to the point of practicing, um in order to, because I'm, like I said, I'm not always in the mood to do this. Like, I have to remind myself, or I have to trigger the urge to do things like this. So part of that triggering is doing things like consuming media, specifically media that I like. So that's rewatching movies, shows, but also trying to find new things to consume that are in the same genre, bubble, of the things that I do enjoy. Which does sound very simple, but like I said, I'd really have to remind myself of these things, which I've been doing a very good job at, because I've been, lately trying to find new things to watch, new games to watch, let's plays of, sorry. And the first thing I do is look back at the things that I've liked watching before. I'm just like, where can I find things like this? And while I'm on the topic, a lot of the things that I've been watching lately have been very, like, almost gothic and like horror leaning in a way. My mom and I have been watching a lot of DC movies. We've been trying to, like, get into utilizing our Prime memberships more. So we've been on Amazon Prime Video a lot more often these past few days, weeks even. And, just recently, I think for Batman Day, I guess, they've added a whole bunch of Batman movies, and I've watched a few for the first time, and, I really like them. But what I noted that I liked about them is the differences in visuals between each Batman movie. I specifically watched the most recent Batman with starring Robert Pattinson, the Batman. I also watched the Tim Burton directed Batman movies, Batman and Batman Returns, sorry. And we also watched, like, Justice League, and Superman versus Batman. But what I noted specifically with the Batman and the Tim Burton Batman movies is the visual style of each movie. I like watching different adaptations of the same movie. I am a Marvel fan after all. So I've watched many Spider-Man movies. Actually, no, that's about it. I just really like Spider-Man, so I've watched a bunch of Spider-Man movies. So I like appreciating the differences in storytelling between each of the movies. Hi, it's me from the next day. Just popping in to record over this part because the timing was off and the thing that I thought happened here didn't happen here. Back to the commentary. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Specifically with the Batman movies. It's really, if you think about it in theory, it would be very difficult to make a Batman movie in your own distinct style, because overall it's like, just for an easy point of access, like depicting Gotham as a city, it's a very dark and gloomy, cloudy place. It's like a rundown but like lively city. It has a very plain and simple concept, but it's kind of like a canvas that's just, that already has been covered in like black paint. It's like, what do you do with that to really make it your own? And like the way that it was like taken and really, I don't know, personalized between those the two different directors. Actually, let me get the director of the Batman, because I feel bad that I'm saying Tim Burton but not whoever directed the Batman. Okay, The Batman 2022, starring Robert Pattinson, was directed by Matt Reeves. Okay, I know a lot more goes into, visuals and stuff for a movie, rather than just direction, but I'm speaking broadly for like the entire cast as like a whole. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm just applauding just Tim Burton or just Matt Reeves, just putting that out there, but I'm using them to represent the cast and crew as a whole. But the way that they put their own styles into the direction of both movies, it made for a very visually stimulating experience, but for two different movies of the same topic, of the same story. And I just think that's really interesting to see and very interesting to look back on. Like, I think about it to this day. Like, we watched those movies, I think like last week. And I've been thinking about it from an artistic standpoint. I am so glad I started using this recording app, because I would not have known where I was going with that if I wasn't able to just go back and listen. Oh my goodness. But anyways, those are the things that I've been watching lately as far as movies, where I can kind of look back on and be like, okay, things with this style or things with this, look to it, visually, I want to see what I can find that has things like this or things that kind of branch off of this, and watching all that Batman stuff has led me to watch let's plays of the games. And right now I'm watching Burly Z play Arkham Asylum, and just like the movies, it's cool to look at visually. The story's kind of but the visually is really cool to look at. And another game that I'm looking at visually, which I don't know what it did, but it sparked something, is Danganronpa. I started finally watching gameplay for that, also with Burly Z, recently. I just finished up the Let's Play for Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair. And I could get into how much I love that game, but I'm going to talk about the visuals and the art style. So it has a very, like, of course, since it's a Japanese game, it has a very like manga leaning type of art style, but it's not like that at all. So first of all, like the looks of the characters, specifically whenever they do the cutscenes, it kind of reminds me how, like, in SpongeBob, stay with me here, how in SpongeBob they have, the very flat 2D animation, but then whenever there's something that needs emphasis, it kind of switches over to a very realistic a very realistic drawing that's like very close, and then you can see like almost every brush stroke, and it's very detailed but very pigmented. It reminds me very much of that. Like, I want to reiterate how serious I am. That's what it reminds me of. Like, just like it really just hit me just now. And there's something about that. I don't know. It's something about like the rough brushstroke style, that makes it kind of pop, that I really like to see. And I don't think I would have even been able to acknowledge that if I hadn't have been looking at different types of art from different artists, like on Instagram and TikTok, because that's something I kind of picked up on lately whenever I looked at like digital art. So there's that. And the use of like the bright pinks for like the blood, and then like how just the overall like use of the game, how it's like kind of 3D also, you know, when they make like the landscapes and everything, when you're moving around, but also very 2D because of like, you know, just the, you know, the visual novel-esque drawings of each of the characters. I could go on about that game all day from like a visual standpoint, but yes, the main point is to give myself the cheat codes. So there's that. Make sure I keep track of the things that I'm watching, and make sure I keep track what it is about those things that I'm watching, consuming, reading, whatever. What it is about those things that I like, and would like to see reflected in my art. That's a big deal. So I'm probably gonna wrap this up here because I think I touched on basically everything I wanted to say. If not, I'm probably just gonna make another part to kind of piggyback off of this. Hopefully with another drawing that's probably like similar to this one, so they can kind of go together. But I want to end off with this. This whole art style thing, like I said, it's not a linear journey. At least for me, it isn't. It's gonna change, you know, here and there. But for the most part, I want to try to remember that this whole art style thing, at least for me, I don't think it's the end goal. I don't think it's the destination. I feel like it's more of a milestone. I feel like my art style has something like milestones. But yeah, so if I feel like that I haven't like reached that end point, I don't know if there ever is gonna be one. And hopefully I find some sort of like comfort in that. Just doing whatever I like at the time and having that be my art style. It's funny how I'm saying all this as if I'm not the one talking, even though it's like to myself. But I don't know, hopefully it will like click better in the future, because this is all just coming to my mind like as I'm talking. But yeah, if this helped you at all, or if you have anything that you think would like help me out, I wouldn't be opposed to hearing any, you know, advice. Because, you know, I'm open to criticism and advice and everything. And if there's any other topics that you'd like me to discuss or talk about, feel free to suggest some things in the comments, because I'm kind of running out of ideas at this very moment. But yeah, so there's that. Next week, I want to start working on the video for next week, because next week is my birthday, so I will be 24 years old. Yay! I know it sounds sarcastic, but I'm actually excited for my birthday this year for some reason. But yep. If you enjoy this at all, let me know. If you made it all the way this far, I very much appreciate you watching. This was a really cool draw for me. I wish it kind of looked a bit different. I kind of messed up with the blue, but it's all part of the process. I still like it anyways. So yeah, that's about it. I guess it'll make sense for me to promote myself a little bit here. I do have other socials. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Kenya Inc. And I hope you have a great day, night, morning, or evening. And yeah, see you in another video sometime soon. hi, hello.